Mamma mia, let's go. It's me, we're back for more Mario Oddities. You like that little nursery rhyme I did for the intro? Yeah, I've been brushing up on my Mother Goose as of recent, and that's why this video has taken so long to come out. Yeah, the first episode blew up semi-recently. I guess the algorithm finally caught up and shot that video out to a lot of you guys, so I know a lot of people have come from that video and want to see the final part of this very large iceberg. But today I'm going through the last 3 layers of the iceberg, and again I've combed through and chosen some entries I found particularly interesting. So yeah, let's go ahead and get in to Mario Oddities Part 3. Layer 8. Luigi Raceway Town. Turns out Mario Kart 64 ended up having a decent bit of its tracks cut from the final game. In an interview with a developer on the game, it is revealed that there was once an almost fully developed town track that was cut from the game. The dev said that the level was cut due to too many tight turns, making players feel ill by the time they had finished racing. God, if they could only see where gaming has gone now, huh? Jesus. A little 2D sprite on a screen, taking a couple right turns, making a little motion sick. Hop in some Beat Saber or some fucking contractors and come talk to me, alright? The strangest part of this cut course is the object and item placement lines up exactly with that of Luigi's Raceway, a track that was released in the final game. This suggests that Luigi's Raceway replaced this supposed town track in the final game. I really like Luigi's Raceway, and I feel like it's the perfect beginning track for the game. If they were planning to have this town level that was cut be the first level in the game, like Luigi's Raceway is, I think it's better they replaced it. The tight turning sounds way too difficult for an introductory track, and if it's actually making people sick, which is hard for me to believe at this day and age, then yeah, I'd prefer Luigi's Raceway, thank you. One Luigi's Raceway, please, to go. Small Larry. New Super Mario Bros. Wii is one of the best Wii games. Take up the arms and fight me in the comments. There's a lot the game had to offer, including bringing back the Koopalings that were series regular enemies in the old 2D platformers. This includes Morton, Wendy, and even Larry. We all know Larry Koopa. He's great. He's got the blue hair. There's actually a cut model of Larry hidden within the game's files. This model appears to be a much smaller version of the final model of Larry. If you bring him into the game using hacks, you can see he only really has his beginning and ending animations. He's over there jittering, dude. You can't jump on Larry to damage him like in the boss form. However, if you shoot him with a fire flower or even stomp on him, it'll one-shot him. You can also use an ice flower on him as demonstrated in this video. And I don't know, there's something just so satisfying about freezing Larry and just tossing him aside like the trash he is. Get out of here, dude. Nobody likes you. Metal wing cap. There's an unused texture that is present in the final game of Super Mario 64 that can't actually be seen in the final game. This is because there is no opportunity to obtain both the wing and metal cap in the game. However, there is a texture for a metal version of the wings on Mario's cap, even in the final game. This suggests there was an opportunity to be metal and flying at the same time, and if we do even more digging, it suggests that originally Snowman's Land would have included both caps. I do like to think that when Mario gets the metal cap while having the wing cap, only his wings turn metal, and immediately as soon as he tries to take off to fly, he's dragged back down to earth by heavy metal wings on his hat.
Ouch! 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 My knees! My knees!
Killing him instantly, cracking his neck. Yeah, that's a little dark, but Mario should have known you couldn't take off with a 40-pound hat, dude. Rolling Gizmo Galaxy Rupee. There are a lot of secrets hidden in the first Mario Galaxy. A lot of these take forms as references in Starbit formations. Take for example a mysterious Starbit Cluster located in the Rolling Gizmo Galaxy. I'd bet 98% of people will immediately hop on the giant shiny ball with the star in the middle, because how could you even resist it? You know, my precious, you know? Or whatever that gangly fuck said. But if you do resist the treasures and play a bit of the level, you can climb on some of the early obstacles as regular Mario. If you come to what seems like a dead end and shift the camera in the right way, you can see a group of Starbits that take a shape of a crude rupee from the Legend of Zelda series. This secret wouldn't be able to be seen if you took the normal route with the ball, as the bridge would block your way for even being able to see it. So this was very intentional for people who decided to go on a little adventure first. Not only that, but you had to be curious enough to turn the camera to check behind the bridge. Pretty cool little hidden away secret, and a reference like that is, well, it's always welcome for me in my Nintendo games. Double text box soft lock. For the most part, Nintendo is pretty good about patching their games, and that usually includes all the different language releases. But there is a pretty nasty soft lock in the Italian version of Super Mario Sunshine. Yeah, as if Mario isn't getting dunked on enough in that game, his people get a botched copy of the game sent back home. In the 8th episode of the Gelato Beach stage, the soft lock takes place. If you know Mario Sunshine, then this is a pretty infamous mission known as the Watermelon Festival, but to rub salt in the wound, they added a soft lock as the cherry on top. If you try to read this sign in particular to, figure out what the fuck's going on during this impossible mission, the second dialogue box will pop up as a blank text box. And I'm talking fully blank. Yeah, this means the button to close it, not even there.
Oh, okay.
Therefore, you have to fully restart the game and hope you saved recently, you stupid asshole.
No!
A nice pickle!
Asshole! Stupid dumb asshole! Dumb asshole!
You thought reading a sign would help you? Nah, you gotta reset your game now. Yeah, this is a very easy soft lock to run into, and the fact they weren't able to fix it is weird to me, because it even appears in the Italian version of Sunshine in 3D All-Stars. That makes me think, like, Miyamoto truly doesn't like Italians, man. What did the mob do to you and your family, Miyamoto? CPUs racing backwards. There's a weird glitch that occurs during the credit sequence in Mario Kart Wii. It is when the characters are driving towards the finish line on Luigi's circuit and the camera pans up to the sky. If you hack the game and end up taking the camera out of the set track it is on and follow the racers, we can all see them start to turn immediately as if they don't want to take the first turn for some reason. This is a little creepy because they all kind of just start turning in unison, as if they're under a mind control thing or something. And the only character not affected by it is the player character, who keeps driving in the right direction. This is likely just a glitch that wasn't patched out because it was never noticeable in the first place. But I also like to think everyone in unison saw some fucked up shit on the turn and was like, yeah, nah, I'm good, fuck that. Turn it around, we're not going that way, guys. Let's head back to the finish line and regroup. Intense mode. Wario Land 4 is going to be a game that always exists in my backlog. That shit's got cobwebs on it. That's because I can barely beat the normal mode and make it through the base game itself. I don't know, I'm just really bad at the game. I love the style of the game and the gameplay is tight and great, but I just can never find it in myself to trudge through the difficulty in the game. But apparently the base game is just child's play. Here I am thinking, I'll never beat this game, but there's a harder mode, and it actually changes a lot in the game. For example, it adds more enemies. You begin each level with 1 heart. Some items disappear like diamonds, very profitable items. They're just gone, and they made collectibles much harder to find. Bonus rooms are restructured, so get fucked, idiot, if you memorized any of those. The timer to leave each level is dramatically faster than the base game difficulty, which is insane because that's one of the things I struggled most with. And the last major thing is items are hella expensive now, so you'll have to grind out the stupid mini games. Yeah, that's quite a super hard mode the game has there. Usually the most the game will do for a higher difficulty is, increasing enemy damage or lowering players' health, but they went all out with Wario Land 4. Some would say it's actually pretty intense, which is what it might have been originally called. That is because in the game files, there's an unused difficulty text that either suggests there was an even harder difficulty mode than this mode, or the super hard mode was originally called intense mode. I really can't imagine how much harder the game could get, so I'm thinking it was just a simple case of a name change. Joe in Super Mario Odyssey. The nameless humans that roam New Donk City in Super Mario Odyssey are one of the only times we've seen humans in the Mario universe. They don't come without mystery either. They can clearly talk to Mario and with each other, but no one has a name, and they all kind of look like the default Fortnite skin, just in a business suit. I get the point wasn't to give these NPCs much character, but I do find it weird that they navigate New Donk City. Seems like a very business-forward kingdom, yet nobody has ever seen working. The taxis do have the ability to quantum jump, so I guess they could be just commuting to their jobs via that shit, but I still find these NPCs just kind of mysterious. A big factor of this is that they're not distinguishable from one another, even down to their names. The only official name this NPC has is Joe Mama, Joe Gatto. This was found in the game files and is the placeholder string of code for the NPC's name in New Donk City. Jesus Christ, a bunch of Joes walking around a small cramped city. I'm good, dude. Catch me at Seaside Kingdom hanging out with the slugs. Bomberman, and Roll Call. Mario Party 2 is the game I will usually go back to if I'm replaying the older N64 Mario parties. With the most recent Mario Party though, there isn't much reason to go back to them except to play the maps that they've yet to add to the new Mario Party. I mean, how hard is it to release DLC not 5 years after a game has been released? Nintendo, I need Luigi's Steam Engine HD remake, please. Mario Party 2 has some of the best minigames to choose from, but it also has some of the worst. Some of them are straight up snooze fests, and the others are just broken in controls. One of these minigames tasks players with counting a bunch of NPCs and giving a final number, all while some of the NPCs are actually just environmental items where they can just straight up disappear while you're counting. Yeah, that's fair. This minigame is called Roll Call, and there are several rounds you can play, each featuring a new NPC like Boos and Toads. It seems that at one point there was going to be a Bomberman out there that the player would have to count. This is because there is a sprite of Bomberman in the game's files that is tied to the minigame Roll Call. This would have been a cool in-house development reference as Hudson Soft developed both games, Mario Party and Bomberman series, so this would have made sense. However, this was just likely used as an early placeholder before they developed the final NPCs that are present in the minigame. 1 Bomberman, 2 Bomberman, red Bomberman, blue Bomberman. Mario Tennis Galaxy. The game files for Super Mario Galaxy reveal a lot, and it may reveal what the game looked like in its original state. At least anyway, we could see what Mario was going to look like in an early draft of the game. It seems like Mario went through quite a few changes before landing on his stupid little spin move he does in the final game. From the files, it seems like originally Mario was going to have more moves akin to Super Mario 64, which includes a jumping dive that wouldn't appear in the final game, but would have been cool. The weirder set of animations is of Mario seemingly mimicking the moves one would do as if they were playing tennis. Yeah, we all know Mario hit the courts every once in a while in his own outing, but for this to have been considered as a moveset for Mario Galaxy really shows where their heads were at during the early development of the game. And I gotta say, doesn't sound like a good place. This was actually probably an attempt at trying to implement motion controls, as the Wii's huge gimmick of course was its motion controls, even featuring a tennis game in the pack-in game Wii Sports. Perhaps before landing on the simple cursor on the screen for motion control implementation, they were fully considering having players control Mario whose only attacks would be tennis themed. I don't know, I kinda like this idea, to be honest. It reminds me of Waluigi's assist trophy in Smash Bros. Just fully embracing using a tennis racket and balls as an attack is actually pretty cold. And if you're good enough, probably pretty effective. Give a couple Goombas and Koopas brain damage from a couple fucking fastballs, son. Board 99. As I stated before, I'm usually playing the latest Mario Party Superstars for my Mario Party fix. Mario Party. That's because it's a great collection of classic boards and minigames, and is, in my opinion, the most definitive classic Mario Party gaming experience. I would be more confident in this statement, however, if they would just add more fucking maps. This game has minigames from several different Mario Party games spanning different consoles, but they stuck to only remaking the classic N64 maps for the game. Even with that limitation in place, there are still plenty of maps from the 3 original Mario Parties on N64 they could pull from, especially Mario Party 3, which only got 1 map in the final game. There's been a lot of speculation as to if the game will receive DLC at any point, and an oddity in the game's files may reveal an answer to that question. Found by Twitter user Oatmeal Dome. Got some dome from my oatmeal this morning because it fell on my lap. The maps files for the game have data maps for 0 through 10, with maps 6 through 9 missing files altogether. The file for map 0 contains assets that are shared throughout all the maps in the game. Meanwhile, files for maps 1 through 5 are designated as such for specific levels. That leaves the missing 6 through 9 and a mysterious map 10, and an even more mysterious third file known as map 99. This revelation could mean several things. This could mean that maps 6 through 9 were cut maps and we could possibly see them as DLC one day. Another theory is that map 10 and map 99 were left in the game because they are the DLC levels themselves that haven't been unlocked yet. And I'm sure there's some people out there that, since it's indicated as map 99, that there's planned to be right under 100 maps in the final game, 95 of which will be DLC. I think it's high time they roll that DLC out though, because if we have to wait as long as we did for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to get its DLC, I don't know, man, just don't do that to me, Nintendo. You never know what a man's capable of when he's pushed to his limits.
Now that's a lot of damage.
Train system. I talked about this entry more in depth in my Super Mario Sunshine Iceberg video part 2, but to quickly summarize here, the train system was a cut transportation system from an early build of Super Mario Sunshine. It seemed like it would allow players to easily get from level to level across the island, instead of the fucked up particle suicide Mario does to travel from level to level in the final game. The files surrounding the train system also revealed the possibility of some cut levels, as some of the names don't match the names of the levels in the final game. There's actually a lot more oddities from the early build of Super Mario Sunshine, so if you'd like to see more of that, check out my Super Mario Sunshine Iceberg linked in the Iceberg playlist. Kenopi. Kenopi is a cut enemy from Super Mario Galaxy. This enemy resembles that of a botched Toad lawn ornament. That's the best thing I could come up with, so you do better. So yeah, it looks like Toad obviously, but it's really low res, and it's just his head and body and no arms for Homeboy. The name Kenopi comes from the Japanese word for toad, which is Kinopio, Pinocchio for the layman, except dropping the last O. It's unknown what the enemy was originally supposed to do, as it only mentions it would hop around in the game. Perhaps these were just placeholder enemies for an enemy that shares similar characteristics to this N64-ass Toad model. Or maybe this was the original final boss of the game, and now that I've spoken that into existence, I'm expecting somebody to mod that right now. Cut bird enemy. A strange cut character can be found in the files of Super Mario World. A lot of them, but we'll be talking about this homeboy right here. This character is a giant flying bird that appears to be carrying something. The bird does have a full animation list, so it was pretty decently developed. Perhaps this is going to be a boss character or one of the rare enemies that only show up in a random secret level or something. The design of the bird is kind of unusual for the Mario universe, and the only recognizable thing is its hair, resembling that of some of the Koopalings. It would have been pretty cool to see what they could have used this bird for in the final game, but something tells me he was probably replaced by that Lackey 2 with the blue flame. Damn, I hate that motherfucker. Bring the bird back. Layer 9. Listed as an NES game. Let's be honest, guys. Mario Party was suffering there for a while. We got it back on live support with the latest release, but during the 3DS era, we were getting some real stinkers hitting the market. One of my least favorite Mario Party games is Mario Party Island Tour, mainly because it was so uninspired. I literally don't remember anything from that game. I just remember I hate it. And I'm pretty sure that's not even the worst one on the 3DS.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
But for my own sake, I had to call it quits after I played Island Tour. I gave up. I don't know, it just rubbed me the wrong way. It seems like I'm not the only one who shares this opinion, as Nintendo themselves seemingly don't give a shit about it. Because for a long time, and I'm talking like way too long for something like this, the Nintendo eShop for Nintendo 3DS listed Island Tour as an NES game. Yeah, Nintendo Entertainment System, you heard me right. This may not seem like a big deal to many, but I'm pretty sure that messes up where the game shows up in the eShop. Therefore, when players were searching by systems, they weren't finding this game when searching 3DS games. I gotta say, I think this was on purpose, or maybe Miyamoto himself listed the game there and glanced at the graphics of the game and just assumed it was an NES Virtual Console game. Embedded Purple Toad. The award ceremony in Mario Kart Wii has quite a few oddities hidden around it, mainly being stuff off the camera. Things like low-resolution Toads and Koopas litter the outer rim of the racetrack, but there is one Toad who isn't having such a great day. That's because Mario was drunk driving one day on the course and went off the track and hit this poor Toad, decapitating him and leaving his dismembered head hidden right offside the screen in the award ceremony. I even heard there were some complaints of a weird smell at the award ceremony, but everyone just assumed Mario shit himself again. In reality, this is just a poorly placed NPC Toad off camera. It's likely a developer littered small low-res NPCs right outside the track to add to the environment around the track itself, but did it so half-assedly that it ended up clipping the Toad's body into the ground, causing it to just look like a mushroom or something, and a poison mushroom to be more specific, since Homeboy was, well, he was purple. Rest in peace, homie. Exciting ending. Mario Kart Double Dash is definitely a fan favorite, but it was never a favorite of mine, I gotta be honest. I definitely preferred 64 or Wii for my Mario Kart games back then. I think it was just due to me not liking the duo kart gimmick or something. All that said, I still think the game's a very competent racing game, and I get why people love it. In the files for Double Dash, there's a lot of interesting things that can be found, and even some eerie things. Take, for example, these doodles that can be found in a file titled ending.arc. These are used for the ending sequence in the game, but went unused for the final game. It shows a doodle on a black background of just some half-drawn cute doodle, but could also be seen at the same time as a sinister hieroglyph. The text in Japanese translates to exciting ending, and yeah, I can safely say I'm pretty excited looking at this. Looks like a light bright version of Miyamoto's face, everybody. There are a couple other doodles that show the face holding up 2 fingers as a peace sign and saying the word peace in Japanese. Looks like this was just a bored doodle from a developer working on the game that got left in the files. I can just imagine it now. This is a Japanese homie on a Friday at 3 p.m. and he gets off in an hour but still has to look busy, so he doodles this up and sticks it in the game file as a placeholder or something. Fire Goomba Farm. The files of Mario Party 1 reveal a lot about the game, specifically content that went unused. The debug menu in the files of the final version of the game shows what looks like minigames that were either disabled or removed entirely. The minigames that were removed entirely don't even have a name that shows in the debug menu, but the ones that were removed seem to have enough time to be completed enough to have a final name. There's a few of these, and one of them is known as Fire Goomba Farm. This is by far the most interesting cut one because it could have been trying to introduce a new enemy to the Mario universe canon. As before this, and even after, I don't think there's ever been mention of a Fire Goomba. There are many enemies in the Mario universe that use fire, but I never considered Goombas being one of those, to be honest. Although perhaps the name isn't referencing the fact that Goombas can spit fire, but rather you're raining down hellfire on a farm of Goombas that Bowser has. Yeah, it was supposed to be a lot like that mission in Far Cry 3, but instead of burning weed, you're burning helpless little Goombas without arms, so they can't even get over the fence on the farm. Yeah, I'm starting to see why this minigame was removed. Cockroach enemy. The early development for the Nintendo 3DS was focused on showing what the system was capable of, like any good release of a console. So for a lot of these early projects, some of the brainstorming ideas seem pretty wacky, pretty out there. One of these weird ideas was revealed by the lead game developer on Super Mario 3D Land. There was a pretty early on idea for the game to have a cockroach enemy come onto the 3DS screen randomly throughout gameplay, and the player would have to shut their 3DS to kill it. This seems kind of cool on paper as a gimmicky thing, but in practice this would quickly turn into the modern version of What a Terrible Fate text box from Simon's Quest. Just imagine this, alright? You're having to stop your Mario game to close your system, possibly losing progress or getting fucked up by another enemy on the screen you can't see, because now the fourth wall has been broken, and not only are you trying to keep Mario alive, you're also trying to play Orkin Pest Control. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go through with this one. Holy shit. In the interview, the developer said the main reason the idea was canned was that it was a little gross, and they tried to throw the idea to the Luigi's Mansion 2 dev team. Yeah, please, throw anything over there. Anything to add a little life into that corpse of a fucking game. Shifting Sandland cutscene. In Super Mario 64, the player is in control most of the game. There are a few times where the camera is taking control from the player, but altogether this is a pretty gameplay heavy game. In the game's files, there's code for a cutscene that was commented out of the code for Shifting Sandland. After reapplying the code to a ROM of Super Mario 64, we can see what the cutscene would have looked like. The cutscene would have activated after standing atop the 4 pillars and causing the pyramid to lift and break. This cutscene essentially made it more obvious as to what's happening, as there isn't a great indicator if you stood on the pillar or not in the game, like no number that pops up or sound effect. They ended up removing the cutscene for unknown reasons, but it was likely due to it just being unnecessary. Even though it's not obvious that you're actually doing anything when you stand on top of the pillars, when you do end up standing on all 4, it's kind of hard not to see that the top of the pyramid come off and spin in the air and explode. Like, even if you didn't see it or hear it for whatever reason, it's not like the pyramid looks the same after this either. The whole top half is missing. You'd have to be pretty dumb not to notice what just happened. So I think because of this, they ended up taking this cutscene out, and I can't really blame them. I mean, I get it's kids playing this, but come on. Fightable Toads. As most know, the original Paper Mario on Nintendo 64 was originally going to be the direct sequel to Mario RPG. However, after development continued, it turned into the new spiritual successor series, Paper Mario. In the early beta footage for Mario RPG, before it was known as Paper Mario, we can see quite a few differences from the final Paper Mario. One of these differences takes place in Toad Town. This is a scene when Mario walks past a toad, and it can be seen with an exclamation point above its head, and it kind of charges towards Mario. It's a short clip, but we can see he's clearly charging at Mario head on. The symbol is used by enemies in the final game, and there isn't any enemies in Toad Town in the final game. So does this clip mean there was going to be asshole toads Mario had to beat the fuck out of? Or was this just a way they were going to have toads come and talk to Mario? Maybe this was a way to introduce side quests or something, but considering this is the only toad that bum rushes Mario, it makes me think he had pretty ill intentions walking up there. What happened 10 seconds after this clip cut? I guess we'll never know, but we can only assume based on what we know about Mario in this game. That toad didn't stand a fucking chance. Layer 10. It was a result. For a while, Mario Party 4 was my favorite Mario Party on GameCube. That was mainly due to nostalgia purposes as compared to the other Mario Party games on the GameCube. It's pretty bare bones for a Mario Party experience, all things considered. I still enjoyed the game, but if I'm going for the GameCube experience nowadays, I'll play 5 through 7. There is unused text in the game for Mario Party 4's files that is a little bit ominous. It's a picture of red Japanese text that simply translates to "it was a result." This was likely just used as placeholder result text for minigame results, but it gives me the "I am error" vibes. There are a lot more interesting uncut things from Mario Party 4, like the addition of the enemy known as Tweesters, and it seems like there was a minigame that was supposed to feature them. If you want me to talk more about strange things from Mario Party 4 or any game on this list, let me know about it in the comments below. This is definitely a more broad look at a few strange oddities from a vast array of Mario games, but a lot of these games have more under the hood than just meets the eye. Glowing white me. Mario Kart 8 is one of the most refined karting experiences video games have to offer. And with the re-release on Switch and the new DLC it's getting, it seems the game will live on much longer now. However, the game isn't without its glitches. I'm unsure if these glitches appear in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but on the Wii U one, there was a strange glitch that occurred where the Mii character would appear pretty uncanny. This glitch kind of seems like it would be straight out of a creepypasta in 2010. When you're selecting a character and hover over the Mii icon, the glitch will show a flickering, glowing white version of a Mii in a racing costume. This was captured on video by a user known as Ryanator on YouTube, and this seems to be the only documented case of this incident. It's pretty strange as it appears to only take place on the character selection screen. The fact the model glitches in and out of existence makes me think this is a copy in which Slenderman took over the Mii character in the game, and is causing the Mii to flicker in and out of existence with his otherworldly powers. I think this was one of the more unsettling glitches in the list, as the blank expression on the Mii's face pleads for help as each body parts phase in and out of reality every second. Poor fella. Unknown Nintendo employee. Super Mario 64 at one time was planned to have a port on the disaster console known as the 64DD. This is basically a disk drive upgraded version of the Nintendo 64 that was only released in Japan and did abysmal numbers in the sales market. This game didn't get very far in development and only ever showed a demo unit on one of the 64 DDs. The changes made to the game apparently didn't make the upgrade worth it, as there was barely anything new that the N64 version didn't already have. In fact, due to the CD-based loading of the 64 DD, this version of Mario 64 technically took longer to load than the N64 version. What a crock of shit. There's some strange things found in the files of this failed version of Super Mario 64, including a few pictures and renders. The renders are from games like Mario Kart 64, but there are some strange pictures that were taken of a random Nintendo employee. The employee has been identified as Atsushi Watanabe, who was part of Nintendo's internal R&D team at the time. There are 3 different pictures of Watanabe in the game's files, and it appears they were taken one after another. These were either put in the game as a developer gag, or to test the ability to put high-resolution images in your game via the disk drive's capabilities. Perhaps they were planning on putting Watanabe's face over Bowser's for the Bowser paintings you see in the game. That would be pretty cool. Plus, the one in the first Bowser hallway would fade into being Miyamoto, since Bowser fades into Peach in the original. Ah, that'd be terrifying. Yukiki's hidden power. The monkey known as Yukiki from the Mario series has always been a real pain in my ass. He steals Mario's hat from him in the level Tall Mountain and will keep it permanently until you go back to his dumb ass and get it. He can be grabbed just like Mips in the basement of the castle, and upon grabbing him, he'll be a little pussy and give Mario his hat back and say sorry and shit. But if you grab Yukiki in the right way and land in the water near where he spawns, you can actually take him near the beginning of the level. Upon doing this, if you bring him far enough, he'll get stuck in the wall as demonstrated in this video. Besides finally exacting revenge and drowning a monkey, you'll notice that the level has changed in quite a lot of ways. Many of the things that were once interactable are no longer there, and even enemies have frozen or straight up despawned. Stars and coins won't spin, and the big boulder balls walls are just straight up invisible, but they can still hurt you. This feels like you're playing a post-apocalyptic version of fucking Tall Mountain, especially when you roll up to the frozen Goomba gang. These guys are worse than the fucking Royal Guard, bro. They're frozen in time. Shoutouts to Pompeii, you have nothing on these fuckers, man. This really is a strange and fairly unknown glitch that has pretty creepy results. I actually like this one a lot. Catch me trying to attempt this on a Saturday night, but getting too scared when it actually happens. Prototype fish Easter egg. In Super Mario 64, there's a 1 in 256 chance that when you land in the water or jump out of it, there will be a small fish that appears from the puddle Mario lands in. This is such a strange roulette system for something that doesn't even fucking matter in the grand scheme of the game. Like, it's a cool visual Easter egg, but to put it on an RNG system like that, it's a little bit strange, right? But when we dig deeper into the early version of the game, we can see this wasn't always the case. Fans have imported Womp's Fortress into level editors, and it revealed a strange object that went unused near the level's canon. This was originally used for the fish indicator as either a test for the visual or an object spawner for the fish that would be placed at different places in the game. This is revealed by a picture taken from the beta of the game, which shows a fish coming from a splash Mario made in the exact spot as the unused object in the level editor. This being revealed makes way more sense as to why they'd re-implement the fish into a random number generator instead of manually placing each of these objects in random water spots in the game. Sometimes you just, you gotta work smart, not harder, right? I heard that from Dwayne The Rock. I also heard this.
Let The Rock tell you in Chinese. Ding bong ding dong, he's stone cold aye.
So I don't really know if I should be taking his advice, to be honest. Red block near the windmill. In the Japanese version of Super Mario Sunshine, the level display video that plays inside the goop icon for the entrance of the level shows a strange oddity for Bianco Hills. In the video, it shows a blurry pan of the level ahead, and in the Japanese version, we can see a strange red block near the top of the windmill in Bianco Hills. This caused the international release of the game to re-render this cutscene to zoom the camera further out and remove the red block entirely. It is unknown as to what the red box was meant to do or if it had any purpose at all. This could have been something left over from a debugging, or that's just left in because it was overlooked, or this could have been something that was cut from the final level. It's worth noting the red block's location shares that with a piranha plant head spawner in the final game, so perhaps this was just the indicator that they used one of these enemy spawners in that location. Regardless, this is such a small detail that should have never even been found, to be honest. Like, I don't even think I knew there was small videos that played in the little goop at the entrance of levels, and the fact someone was able to notice such a small detail in one makes me fear some of the capabilities of some of the humans we share this world with. Will you save this course? The Super Mario Advance series of games were great remakes of the original classic games they featured, and they turned them into a more portable friendly version of those classic games. They would also oftentimes add in bonus content like the classic Mario Bros. Arcade game, which I remember spending a lot of hours playing as a kid. I think I remember even playing that mode more than the base game itself. The game's files for Super Mario Advance may reveal that they were planning on to have a bit more in terms of bonus modes than just what appeared in the final game. There's a text image in the game's files that has Japanese text that translates to, "Will you save this course?" While there is no official explanation as to what this means or what it was meant for, we can all assume that this must have been hinting at a level editor of some kind. I can't imagine this would have been a super extensive mode or anything, but it could have been one of the earliest versions of Mario Maker that existed. Assuming the Game Boy Advance's hardware wasn't advanced enough to house a level editor, was likely the reason this mode ended up being cut. However, being able to create your own Super Mario Bros. 3 levels would have changed my life as a kid, man. I could be a game developer right now if that shit hit. Alright, that was the last part of the Mario Oddities Iceberg. I will probably be moving on in Icebergs and not touching this one again. So stay tuned on my channel, subscribe if you're new here. I try to do Iceberg videos pretty consistently. There's a playlist on my channel that includes all of my past Icebergs, including the first 2 parts of this series of Iceberg content, the Mario Oddities Iceberg. It feels good to finally clear this one off the list, and I know a lot of people are waiting for part 3, so apologies for the wait, but yeah, that was it, and go back and watch part 1s and 2, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Leave me a like down below if you did enjoy the video. Leave me a comment, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching.